everybody, Invisiblekatana here with my impressions on the Nintendo Direct for E3 2018. This is definitely short. It's kind of been what they've been doing for the past couple years. It's like a short little thing. I thought it would be longer than this. I thought it would at least be an hour long. But I was fine with it. I like what we got to see. Unfortunately, the one thing I do have to say, I didn't get like my third little check mark, which was Bayonetta 3. I got Devil May Cry 5, I got my Resident Evil 2 news, and all I was hoping for, I didn't think they would do a release date or anything, but I was hoping to at least see like a new trailer, kind of at least somewhat teasing the story or teasing new characters or new designs at least for other characters. I was hoping we get a little bit of something from Platinum as far as Bayonetta goes, but unfortunately we did not end up getting that. But other than that, we got some pretty decent stuff. For the most part, of course, it was Smash Brothers. It was like the Smash Brothers Direct, and there was a lot of news on it. So of course I'll kind of save that for last because that was like the big thing. But kicking things off right from the top, we have the new game, Daemon X Machina. I thought that looked cool. It seems like it'll be an interesting game. Don't know if I'll really pick it up, but based on the trailer, it looks pretty cool. So I want to see a little bit more of the content. It seems like, even based on the title, it would most likely end up being co-op, in some way, shape, or form. So it seems like cool. It almost seemed like an anime mech game. So it was kind of nice. I like the aesthetic. That's what makes me think, anime style. But that I thought was pretty cool. I feel like that was one of few big reveals really in the whole thing as far as like brand new IPs and stuff like that. Everything else didn't really catch my attention. Like I legitimately only have like 4 little marks on here because nothing, it was for one, mostly Smash Brothers, but two, the stuff that was announced didn't really catch my attention that much. But after that was Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The DLC for that seemed somewhat interesting. I haven't played either of the Xenoblade games, but I could tell it was Xenoblade even though I didn't recognize any of those characters. I was like, I feel like that's Xenoblade. But it was, because it's Xenoblade 2, I didn't know any of them. But I was like, still looks like it, feels like it was like, clearly they got the essence right if I recognize it. So it's like, all right, seems interesting. So we'll kind of just see what happens with that. After that, Super Mario Party, I thought that was kind of cool. They show that the games could they only showed it with one example, but it was like the people on the table, they're like, well, we got to have like some angles or whatever. So they were moving the pipes around for where you would spawn, and it would, it was connecting between the switches. And I was like, well, that's definitely cool. So I like that idea. But of course, 4 players on the go. If it's not on TV, you can put the switches together and kind of move the map around and make it yourself. Thought that was a really cool concept. So definitely looking forward to more of the stuff that's going to be in there, but we got to see some decent stuff from it. One of the super quick things that I wish actually got a little bit more showtime was this game called Ninjala, and it looked like it was a baseball game, and I swear it's not the same name, but there is like an old arcade game that's like a baseball ninja game, but it's like an actual side scroller beat 'em up game. But it made me think of that because they had like the bats, and it was like, like they were playing baseball, and I was like, that's really weird. I know it's not the same name, and it's not even the same style. It's hard to really tell what type of game it is because it almost seemed like they were racing for a little bit, and then the person like ran into it. Basically looked like he ran into blown up bubble gum. I was like, I don't really know what's happening. It doesn't seem exactly like it's just a fighting game because they were running, but they weren't fighting each other as they were running. And I was just like, I can't really tell. It was like a quick clip, and I was like, I want to know more about that. So I'm gonna look that up more in a little while. But I thought that looked cool, and that was like a super quick glimpse, and that caught my attention more than a lot of other stuff. And then of course it comes down to Ultimate Super Smash Brothers, and I gotta say, I was at work, and it was at lunch actually. And I was like, okay, I want to wait to watch it like I was doing everything else. I'll wait to watch, the conferences and everything. But I started talking to somebody at work who watches E3. It was like me and 2 other guys. And we were talking about Sony's thing. And so we were talking about like, I'm excited to see what Nintendo brings up. And so one of the guys brought it up on his phone. And it was right during the Smash Brothers stuff. And it was when they were going through like every single character. And it was that first quick glimpse. And it was like, was that Snake? And I was like, if Snake's in it, then I got to buy it. And that was pretty much all it was to it. And I'd watch some extra stuff. And I was like, all right, I'll just wait and I'll watch the rest of it later. So that's what I did when I got home, and that's when I saw the beginning. I was like, okay, shoot through, the stuff that I'd seen. And it was just like, here's every single Smash Brothers character that we've had. And that was just ridiculous to me because I was like, that was on, like, I don't think we've seen that, anything close to that, honestly, since like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It was like on that level where it's like they've had so many characters in Smash Brothers. They brought them all back from every single iteration that we've had. All the old, not all the old levels, but tons of old levels are coming back. tons of old characters. I didn't even think that they would, I mean, they brought everybody back. So it was stuff where I was just like, I never would have expected. Like Young Link, I loved Young Link in Melee. So I was just like, oh, when that kind of transition from Young Link to Toon Link, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. Like it's somewhat the same, but clearly, it's not exactly the same. And I was just like, oh man, I used to love Young Link. That was like my favorite character. And then Brawl came out and it was like, okay, well, I got to switch. Fortunately, Snake happened to be in that, so I switched to Snake as my main. And then he left, and I was like, oh, that sucks. And then Little Mac was like the coolest thing in the universe, so I love Little Mac. And now I get to have Snake, I get to have Little Mac, I get to have Pac-Man, Sonic, I get to have all the characters I'm actually good with, and some older characters that come back and I can just play around with. So we have Pichu coming back. Honestly, that's the only one that stuck out in my head because I was kind of surprised by the Pichu thing because that was kind of the big complaint. It was like, oh, Pichu still hurts himself and stuff like that. So I hope there's a balance because that was like the main thing. It wasn't that useful to use Pichu, but it's still awesome. They have the female Pikachu thing. They brought the Lubra. I can't even think of Lucha Libre. There it is. I was like, I know what I'm trying to say, but the Lucha Libre Pikachu is in there. You can have the female Pokemon trainer who has like different color Pokemon, so I thought that was cool. You can switch them out without, or you can stick to one Pokemon and it's not like an issue or anything like that. They changed a ton of stuff actually. Some of it I like, some of it I wasn't a huge fan of. The transformation, like the transformation smash is going away. I didn't like that too much because for me personally, I loved the fact that if I had like Mac, he would turn into Gigamac, and I thought that was cool. And for some people with Bowser, it does make it easier to dodge. So in that case, if I'm being attacked by it, sure, I don't mind it. It looks cool too because Giga Bowser or that version of Giga Bowser for the Ultimate version looks different than the Giga Bowser we had in the last version, which is one of the things that even though I was like, oh, I don't like these changes as much. Immediately, it made me feel a little bit better about getting it because I was like, okay, considering it's so different, like it's the ultimate version, like the moves are different for some of the characters. Like Link is totally different because now his bombs are they're not timed, they're remote controlled. So I was like, okay, that's totally different than setting the bombs off. That's a totally different strategy compared to I hope this bomb lands and they don't dodge it or I have to hold it a certain amount of time. So that was different. The dodge mechanic where you dodge mid-air, you can actually move if you do like a left or right dodge. So that changes up like the tournament mechanics and just, the fighting. The one-on-one thing where it's like you get increased damage so it makes it a little bit faster so everybody's not waiting forever. That was a huge difference. I was like, well, that's, I think it was like 2 or 3% different from like, I think it was like, 25 to 28 or something. And I was like, that's very interesting. That's a huge difference. They show, for like Robin, how many times you can use the sword, how many times you can use the tomes. I was like, well, that's definitely good. The limit is on there for Cloud. Just like basically they did what they did for Little Mac, where you could see his meter the whole way through. They did that for everyone. So it's like the villager, you can see what items they have. Robin, you can see the magic, and then for Link, you can see the limit break. So I was like, well, that's definitely awesome. So you see that 100% of the time, it's always there. They added some stuff for points, like assist trophies actually get you points and stuff like that. Characters glow, and I think that was for points as well, or for score. Whoever's in the lead is glows, and it's basically like, hey, target that person. So now when you're playing with 8 people, you don't have to worry about somebody saying it. The game will do it for them, so you don't have to be like, I hate you for ratting me out for having the most lives or whatever. But I loved it. I was like, all right, that kind of makes it a bit more okay because I'm not big on. I mean, I just don't really buy remastered versions of games very often, and this seems so close for me compared to, other stuff where it's like, oh, that was, PS2 when it was remade for PS3, but it was like a 10-year gap. This is like I was, like around my birthday last year, like not even a year ago, I was still playing, Smash Brothers like crazy with a group of people. It would be like, it was still so insanely current for me. It's just like, oh man, this feels weird for it to be remastered because I actually kept playing that game, and it's just like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna get it. And then it was like, well, Snake's in it, well, like I gotta get it for that. And then it's like all the levels are coming in, every character is coming in, so it's hard to avoid wanting that, even if I don't use those characters as much. The new styles of the characters, some characters are coming back that I love. So not only Snake, but like I said, Toon Link is coming back. Then they have all the levels, the different colors. Inkling is coming in, so I have 3 new characters coming in that I really want because I was like, well, what's the Inkling gonna do? 8 different colors, so all the styles look super cool. The me fighters will eventually be for online play, so I thought that was nice. But they've been changed up just a little bit. There's apparently 12 voice options now. They had little stuff here and there. Palutena's block is now a counter as well, which makes that super tough because that was already bad enough. I felt when she would do that block, I was like, oh, that's already hard. So now that's gonna be a counter too. So it's like that's super strong for her character, but lots of stuff was like so much stuff was changed. It felt just from watching it, it felt like a totally different game. And I was like, well, that kind of makes it worth it, and it's only a month away. But all the characters, all the stages, favorites coming back. Inkling looks really awesome as far as I'm concerned, and I'm like crazy over Splatoon, so I was super excited for that. But like there was so much more at it than I expected. I was like, okay, they're probably gonna have the new, they showed it in the first trailer. Link looks different. Mario's probably gonna look different. It's like, all right, they look different. Inkling is coming in, and I figured, okay, they'll have those characters changed or new costumes plus one new character, and we're gonna have the 3DS levels. That's what I thought it was gonna be. It was like, okay, this is gonna be like a cool update that I really want to get solely based on having the Inkling because I won't have that opportunity on the Wii U. And then it's like, yep, seems super simple, and it's like, nope, literally every character is in it. Bunch of old stages are coming back. We have the 3DS stuff for the Mega Man level. All the hazards are in there. I still was hoping that they would have all the levels from 3DS totally remade into Switch version. So it was kind of unfortunate that we didn't get that. Because honestly, I really wanted to see that Pac-Man level. Like that always seemed like one of the crazy cool levels to me. So I was hoping to see that, but we, didn't get that. And who's to say there isn't more news, even though they showed so much stuff, including Ripley as the final new character, which is so funny because the whole thing was always like, oh, we can't do Ripley because Ripley's a giant character. And it was like, well, they could just shrink Ripley and then just make him a character. Or her. I believe Ripley's a female. And then they did it, and it was just like, oh, this is that thing they were always saying, like, oh, we just couldn't figure out how to do it. And it's like, and they just did exactly what everybody was saying, was just shrink him, shrink the character, and then it's just like, well, there you go, it's Ripley. And Ripley seems cool. I thought it was definitely a dark trailer. I thought it was kind of funny how dark it was. It was like Mega Man got stabbed, and Mario got his head crushed and stuff. Samus didn't take that crap though. She was like, nah, I'm just gonna break out of this suit and kick you in the face. But it looked cool. I was like, all right, I definitely want to play as Ripley. I definitely want to see how I change my gameplay style, especially for Little Mac, because that was like my go-to character for the Wii U version. How that mechanic might change slightly with his new ability, although it makes it a little bit easier because of course everybody just runs from you when you're giant, whether you're Bowser or Gigamac. So it changes that up. Same with Wario. So Wario, Mac, and Bowser, and I feel like there's another character that does it too. Sonic was the other character, so now it's like instead of you controlling the dash, you just dash automatically. Unless you do control that, which would be insane if it would just like you flick it and he just shoots. Basically, he's teleporting left and right. That would actually be cool if you still controlled it. But I assumed he just does like almost like a crazy pattern dash across the screen. Pac-Man's thing changing, I actually loved that one. Because his thing, I thought it was cool, but I thought with them basically doing it where and it seems like you can control it a little bit, but based on the way they showed it, he was also just shooting down in one direction. So I don't know if you can shift it in any way, shape, or form. So I hope you can, because I think the control is better than the speed. Although I thought it looked really cool where it was like he just went down and then it just kept repeating and he was picking up speed. I was like, I love that idea. I thought that looked really cool because and actually, yeah, I believe he was moving left and right at first, and then they did the diagonal thing where it was like he was running through. So I think that would be great. It makes it a bit more dangerous, but that was always such a weird thing because it doesn't automatically kill you; it just does a lot of damage. It was one of those weird ones. But I think that would be so cool, and you just you get the right level, especially if you do Omega with the Smash Ball on. You just shoot through and you be hitting everybody over and over again. There's a fake Smash Ball now, so that'll suck. And I think that was them being like, hey, remember that thing from Mario Kart? Well, we do that for the Smash Ball, and now that's a bomb. So that was interesting. Knuckle Joe assists Rodan, which I think is awesome. That was the Bayonetta thing. I was hoping there would be something new for Bayonetta, but it was like, they changed the sound effects for her first costume and her second costume, which I thought was interesting. Rodan came in, but other than that, there were no changes. And I was like, oh, that sucks. I would have loved if they made a new costume. They would have to cut one of the colors, which I don't think anybody would have cared. But if they cut a color and specifically made it Jean, who's like the other character within the Bayonetta games for people who aren't familiar, that would have been awesome. Actually, they could have cut the Jean costume and just made it Jean, because the one where Bayonetta's in red and silver, that's her in Jean's costume. So if they just cut that and just made it the character, I would have been in love with that, because I'd be like, oh, that's cool. And then they, do the voice actress and stuff like that. That would have been really awesome. And the moves could have been exactly the same and everything. Their animals are different. So like Bayonetta turns into bats, Jean actually turns into what does she turn into? I can't remember, but it's different animals. They have different animals. So like the panther that Bayonetta has is a jaguar for Jean. So like the animals, you would notice like a slight difference. So I thought that would have been really cool, but unfortunately we didn't get that. Not really no changes whatsoever for a character outside of like the sound effect stuff. So I was like, I was hoping for more. But it's definitely awesome. Bomberman coming in as an assist trophy. I thought that was really cool. Knuckle Joe, Rodon, like I said. And they showed some other ones, new Pokemon. So they do have more announcements coming, because they're like, they showed off one Pokemon. They're like, we're going to have a bunch more. So who knows what else we might actually get from this. Even though this was a huge announcement, we might actually get more characters. Like, it's totally possible. We might get some more levels. They might do the 3DS thing where all those levels are completely remade. But of course, it's only a month away, and clearly they've been working on this like crazy, and they're almost done with it. So we probably will get, like a couple more levels, stuff like that. But definitely loved it. Obviously, it was the highlight. That's why they spent so much time on it. They had all the characters. They officially did the thing with like Dark Pit and whoever the woman was for Palutena, but the Echo Fighter stuff. Daisy is coming in, so there's another new character technically, or old character coming back. But I was like, man, that's definitely cool. Everybody's coming in, and they're changing up how you unlock the characters, because you start with the 64 roster, and then they say they streamline the process. So I'm curious what that means, because there was no story mode, unless they were like, surprise, we brought back story mode. That would be super awesome, because I loved it for the Wii version, the Subspace Emissary, and I know a bunch of people hated it. Or no, that wasn't why they did it. They didn't do it because they didn't want people to spoil it on YouTube. So they were like, well, we're just not going to make it because people spoiled it on YouTube for people that wanted to see it. I was like, well, that is the worst way to treat gamers, is just to not make it because some people wanted to see it, spoiled on YouTube. So I was like, well, that really blows, because I actually liked that storyline. It was just a cool, unique way to introduce the characters. I thought it was a fun way to get the new characters in the list. So I am curious what the new style is going to be, because if I remember right, they were just unlocked in the last game outside of like the couple, I think there were maybe only like 8 characters you really had to unlock, and everyone else was already there. And I could be totally wrong about that, because it's been so long since I had the characters, since that I had to unlock them, so I don't really remember. But look great. I'm definitely excited for it. I can't believe I'm interested enough to actually get it, and it's just like, crap, but I have to get it. Like, they brought everybody back. Snake is back in it, and it's just like, man, I want that. Like, it's so good. They changed up a lot of the moves, so you can go from the Wii U version to the Switch version. And if you like Samus, her move is different. Like I said, all the characters that transform, their moves are different, so you do have to target people now. And it's just like, crap, there's so much different and so much new, so many characters brought back. It's just like, that is nuts. The way they changed the outfits for the characters because of new game releases and stuff, and new levels from Breath of the Wild. I thought that was a cool one. But man, there's just so much that they added in. It's like, this seems like it'll be worth it. So can't believe it, but I'm like, yeah, I gotta get it. I just have to have it to have like the ultimate. I mean, it's called Ultimate Super Smash Brothers. So I don't know where they go from here. I mean, what do we get? Like, what do we get something for the next console? Like, it's gonna be a minute, and I'm so curious what they could possibly do. Like, they're gonna need to kind of whip out some new IPs or something, because now it's like, we have everybody. I mean, they could do more Pokemon as playable characters. That's kind of like the main thing that I see. And there's still some other stuff. Wonderful 101 as a game that is like the only thing in the universe that hasn't been ported from the Wii U. They could pull that one over if they wanted to. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see where we do officially end up going from this point in the Smash Brothers franchise. Of course, the GameCube controller is still possible to utilize. So it's just like, so I wasn't even thinking about that until it came up, and I was like, oh yeah, gonna need that, because I can't just, not after all this time, we can't switch. Like, it has to, that they've screwed themselves. So that's for an eternity. They have to make the GameCube controller compatible with every console from here to eternity. If there's going to be a Smash Brothers on it, the GameCube controller needs to exist, and it has to somehow fit and they just have to do it. They have no other options. They did that to themselves, so they just got to do it. But they're nice enough to keep going, so we'll see if they do it for the next generation as well. But definitely enjoyed the conference as a whole. But of course, all the Smash Brothers stuff was the main focus. Still wish I had my Bayonetta. That was like my one. Like I said, that's literally the one thing on my checklist. I had my three things, and oddly enough, they were like all from the same world, because it was Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, which was made because it was initially a Resident Evil game, and then Bayonetta, which came from Shinji Mikami, who originally made Resident Evil. So basically, anything that was created or somewhat came out of Resident Evil, those are like my three things on the checklist, and I got 2 out of 3. But I'll wait. Maybe, I highly doubt it because it's Nintendo exclusive now. I forgot, but I was thinking maybe a PlayStation experience, but it's like that's not gonna happen. So might have to wait all the way until the Tokyo Game Show. But a Bayonetta's worth the wait, and I guess I gotta get a Switch now because I want to get the new Smash Brothers. Obviously I'm way behind on Splatoon 2, which I need to get back into that, and obviously Mario, Zelda. So I guess I'm catching up to do, but man, I'm surprised that I want to get it, but I really do. But naturally, I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this press conference, so please put your comments down in the comment section below. Favorite announcements, least favorite announcements, what you wish was announced. The other thing that wasn't there that I'm sure a lot of people were at least hoping for something for, Metroid 4. I was surprised that we didn't get anything on that, not a teaser trailer to be like, hey, it's going to be here or there or whatever. There's just nothing. So I was kind of surprised by that. That was the other thing where it's like, I'm not the biggest Metroid fan, but I was curious what they were going to kind of announce with that, and unfortunately it was nothing. So we'll kind of just see what happens there, because that was literally last year where we got the teaser, and then we got, there was literally nothing this year. So maybe they'll do what they did last time, where they did the whole conference, and it's like, all right, that's our conference. And then after that, they're like, yeah, we have, a new Metroid on 3DS and also Metroid 4. So it was the weirdest way to announce that, but maybe there might be something else I missed after watching the conference, because they did it last year. But like I said, definitely want to know what you guys thought about this press conference. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about the conferences in general. I did watch the Square Enix one. There was nothing worth talking about in that. They showed Tomb Raider, which we knew was coming out. Looks cool. The one thing that was in that was called like The Quiet Man or something like that. Like the main character's deaf, and it's like an action game. Whatever that was, I was like, well, that seems interesting. But they showed it's like the first teaser of it. And I was like, well, that seems cool. Everything else was stuff that was already there. It was just like more trailers, and it was like there was no point in that. It was like 30 minutes, and it wasn't even worth the time, honestly. So, want to know what you guys thought about all the conferences. Technically, E3 is officially started now, even though it's been all the conferences. So definitely want to know what you guys have thought about them. Specifically, of course, what you guys thought about the Nintendo conference this year. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And, of course, thanks for watching.